What's up, people? We're watching Sportingly Social with me, Abnish Hegde, and it's a fantastic show we lined up for you. I have a knack of saying this, but believe me, today is the show, especially if you're an Arsenal fan, if you are a fan of Formula One, because we have lots of stuff lined up in Hamilton, and of course, we tell you a little bit about the women's IPL as well. Yes, you heard that right, the women's IPL. So lots on the show. Stay tuned and stay locked, because it is something amazing.
Coming up on today's show is the women's IPL. Will it happen? Will it not happen? The controversies have certainly started. And of course, we reflect on Sunday's winner, Lewis Hamilton.
Enter those pantheon of greats, right?
He's already in that bracket.
Not to forget Arsenal's weekend as well, with them winning the FA Cup. So we get chatted with a couple of Arsenal fans and put them to the test as well.
Right, so let's kick off the show with some cricket, because the IPL alright has been announced by the BCCI, because we've spoken about that in our other shows as well. But the women's IPL is something which I'm going to touch upon. Now, there are a mixed bag of reactions, especially from cricketers across the world, compared to Indian women cricketers having a go in the IPL. Now, of course, it is a 3-team tournament, which sees it as a challenger series mostly, and it's going to be played in the UAE during the IPL playoffs. But what's interesting to note here is that the tournament is scheduled from the 1st of November to the 10th, and that coincides with the dates of the Women's Big Bash League. And understandably so, Susie Bates, for example, the New Zealand cricketer, she voiced her opinion on this, saying that it's not fair to be scheduling such a tournament alongside the Women's Big Bash League. Or, for example, that sarcastic tweet put out by Lisa Healy, which also depicts the same story. Now, nonetheless, the women's IPL is something which is, of course, up and coming. Saurav Ganguly, the BCCI president himself, admitted that there are works in the pipeline to make it a bigger tournament going forward, but they are wanting to make it this time around in Dubai, November 1st to the 10th, that is. So that's the women's IPL news and chatter. Let's move on to the F1 next. So let's now chat with Saurabh Chauhan, who knows everything about Formula One, and get his perspective on Hamilton and whether he is the best of all time.
Okay, thanks Sam for joining us right now. Of course, we're going to talk all things F1 with you, and what a race it was, because I was mind blown. I mean, I think any person who isn't even a fan of F1, if they were watching that last race, it was absolutely mad, especially the Hamilton, which we'll talk to in greater detail.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the race first and foremost, because it was mad, like I said.
I think action-packed and drama would probably describe that race best, right? Tire failures left, right, and center, safety car periods. I wouldn't say it was the most eventful or the most exciting race to watch in terms of overtaking or any of that, which is part of the problem for Formula One these days. But an eventful one nonetheless. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about the race, we talk about seventh heaven for Hamilton, so to speak, at Silverstone and all of that stuff. But how good is he? Because when we talk about even leading races from word go, now he's overtaken lights of Senna, Vettel, Schumi. There's some great names on that list. So let's start there with Hamilton. The fact that it's another milestone, another feather in his hat. How many can he keep getting like this? I mean, it's just ridiculous.
It is a little insane, isn't it? I mean,
That is.
when you look at a stat like that in an isolated manner, right, then it just shows you the pure dominance of the driver on the day, right? I mean, to lead from start to finish is a completely different ball game, man. As with pit stops and everything, and he still has a 30-second lead over Max Verstappen by the end of the race, right? It's testament to just how good Hamilton has become over the years, right? He really has fine-tuned his racecraft, and he's right up there, man. It's going to be really hard to beat him this season. We still have 8 races to go, so it's very early in the season to say anything else. But it kind of looks like it's getting lopsided already, right? 4 races down, and he's already picked up 3 race victories. It is looking a little lopsided.
The fact that he's indicated that he wants to stay on for another 4 or 5 years, maybe. He's spoken about the future of F1 in great detail. That's been well documented. How far can he get in terms of reaching the heights of the sport?
He is the champion that Formula One needs right now, right? I mean, we're talking about a time where people are starting to lose interest in the sport because, it's just not as action-packed. There's not a lot of overtaking over the course of, the entire race. So it's important to have someone like that, right? Now, when it comes to the rest of this year, I mean, look, he's 4 wins away from beating Michael's 91 win record, right?
Yeah.
So you do know, but by the end of the season, he's going to break a lot of the standing records. He's going to create a whole bunch for himself.
Yeah.
But let's be realistic, right? As in, like, Hamilton is 35 now, right? You want to stay on and you want to race on till you're 39, and because you're at peak fitness right now, I mean, everyone can say that they want to do that, right? Like Kimi is doing it right now, but Kimi's gone from a non-competitive seat into what is the slowest car on the grid right now, right? And Kimi can't even beat his own teammate right now, and that's the sad thing, right? And like, after a certain age, your body does kind of say, listen, maybe our reaction times, get a lot slower. Yeah. And it's small things like that, because I mean, in Formula One, you're fighting for the only thing that really matters, which is time, right? So even a fraction of a second in terms of a delay on anything in your reactions is the difference between, a race win or being out of the Grand Prix entirely. Right? Yeah. So I don't think that, I mean, unless Mercedes continues to dominate and continues to invest in Lewis Hamilton and to keep him on up until that point, then yes, he could stretch himself far out in the future, but I don't see that happening. Maybe they give him another 2 years and then he moves on to a mid-table team, not a mid-table team, you could say like the middle of the pack, one of those teams like a Renault or something like that. And then obviously you'd see him lower down the order, but yeah, he's definitely going to set some records, that's for sure.
Yeah, records galore. I think the fact that you touched upon numerous small sort of nuances of F1 where it matters so much for a driver, where it's all about time, like you said. But what about the all-time stats in particular? There's some great names F1 has had. We talk about Senna, we talk about Schumi. I can just go on, but Hamilton already kind of has entered those pantheon of greats, right? I mean,
yeah, he's already in that bracket. He's already in that bracket, right? And
what does he have to do more to be termed the GOAT?
So I'll tell you what, this is something that I love about Brand Hamilton, right? Is that he's understood that it's more than just being the race car driver, right? Now, if you go back to even Schumi's time, right? There was no social media, man. They didn't have so much pressure to, make sure that they're always in the public eye. And it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder trying to do that and still be at the top of your game.
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
Hamilton raps on the side, man. And like he travels the world. I mean, when the bushfires were happening in Australia, he went down a few weeks before the start of the Grand Prix, right? Yeah. And he spent some time there and he's still at the top of his game. So a lot of people would say that that's testament to the car. But if it were testament to the car, then Valtteri wouldn't just be second best and a far second best. It's not like he is really close to Hammy either way. He is on Saturday and then Sunday he's just off, Yeah. So, I mean, dude, he's in a league of his own. He's definitely in that top bracket of, the all-time greats. Whether he is the greatest of all time, that's debatable. I mean, that really depends on what your definition of the greatest of all time is, right?
I mean, make for a good listening, 100%. And the fact that Hamilton's gone on to achieve what he's achieving right now is just unbelievable. It puts him in that league of course, like the names you mentioned, but it also kind of shows that he's one of those modern day superstars in sport where we just can't. I mean, like,
exactly.
You love him, you hate him.
I'm glad you brought that part up, right? Because that's exactly what he's doing. He's trying to be a little bit more than about the sport, right? And that's what I think he needs that to complete Brand Hamilton. I'm not just the champion on track, I also care for people off track. So let's hope he does it, man. Because I wasn't a Hamilton fan, I'm still not a Hamilton fan, but you can't deny that he's just a cut above the rest, man. As in, like, he's in a league of his own.
Yeah, I mean, well said, Sam. Cheers so much for your time. And of course,
pleasure, man.
Probably going to catch you up later on the course of the season as well. And see you soon, buddy. Cheers.
See you soon, man. Take care.
That was Sam, of course, sharing his insights on Hamilton and what it really is going to be a fascinating time for F1 fans going ahead. Now, speaking of sport, let's switch lanes because we're going to go into football next. I'm talking about Arsenal's sensational FA Cup win. They're 14 in their club history, quite fantastic to say the least. So let's now get chatted with a couple of Arsenal fans and ask them about how this win was next season and, of course, that quiz too.
Where's my jersey? I mean, I think it's enough. I rewatched the game again yesterday, and I was just like living, like basking in the glow of it. And then now I was like, okay, it's Monday.
Yeah, because you seem cock-a-hoop after that. I mean, I saw your Instagram story and I was like, oh, someone's certainly buzzing. I mean, all my Arsenal friends were buzzing, but I think you had the coolest celebration.
Yeah.
Yes! Yes! Oh my god!
Did Navran call you that night? Navran was on another
called me.
planet.
I don't know, in that Instagram story, I'm like singing and then my phone's ringing and it's like Nav just with his fucking face going, ah!
John, I'll start with you. How pleased are you with this trophy? Because we go on to showcase Arsenal sometimes in a bad light, saying, oh, all they want to do is settle for top 4. The FA Cup comes along and it's a great moral boosting victory, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, it's. I think it's great that they won the trophy, and it's something to show for like a terrible season.
Yeah.
But having said that, it does get us into Europe and boosts our transfer budget a little bit, and we need that transfer budget. Being in the Europa League is not something that Arsenal fans want to see really, but it's better than not being in it because, for one thing, it gives the kids a chance to go run around a bit also. And it also gives us the chance of being in the Champions League via the final route also.
Correct.
So that's the thing.
But on the contrary, Shambo, let me ask you this, because I've spoken to a couple of Arsenal fans. They're like, let's take one step back to maybe take 2 steps forward, which is not be in Europe, just be in the Premier League, in these cup competitions. Do you think now again with Europa there will be a hindrance because you're going to be playing Thursday and on Sunday?
No, I don't think so. I think it's only a good thing because, like John said, it gives the younger players a lot of, like, there's so many academy players also now, like working their way up. It gives them just a chance to be on a bigger stage, but it also just frees up so much more money. And that would be really important, I think, going into the very short transfer window that they have now. Because I think it goes from like, they had a 12.5% wage cut, and now with Europa League, it's gone to 7.5. So that immediately just adds more money also for someone like Emi Martinez, who's only on like 25,000 a week. He's like gone and basically won this cup for us, you know, and so he deserves more. And I think also Europa League gives Leno a chance to also come back from his injury and just start playing again.
Yeah, for sure. I think the fact that Arteta has come in and rejuvenated some of the players, you just take a look at it from a neutral perspective as well, because I support United, but every time I tune in to watch an Arsenal game post Arteta, I've realized that some of the players who've just sprung up with confidence, you look at Maitland-Niles, you look at some of the fixtures that you guys have had to deal with as well post-lockdown. It's tough games. You had Sheffield away in the FA Cup, then you had Chelsea and of course City and Liverpool as well, which was just great additions before that FA Cup final, I guess. But Vishnu, let me ask you this, because a lot of people are saying Arteta now to given time. And it's also a well-documented fact that Arsenal's owners are not the most, magnanimous in their spending. So what's the approach next season? Where do you guys see yourselves next season?
See, firstly, I'd like to speak a little bit about Arteta. I mean, as you said, he's done a fantastic job. Arsenal, in fact, were the only club that started away with 4 away games in all competitions. So no other club in the Premier League played 4 away games in all competitions like us. And as you said, tough games. And talking a little bit about the game, it was a little reminiscent about the 2007 League Cup between Chelsea and Arsenal, where Chelsea ended up winning 2-1 with a drop-up pace, and this time it was Aubameyang.
That was so heartbreaking when he like tapped Koscielny or someone on the head. Like, I remember that so well.
So, I think you're talking about the Birmingham Arsenal League Cup final.
Oh, was it that? Okay.
11-1.
Yeah.
All the finals that have gone badly brought back all these memories.
Yeah. So this time, at least, Aubameyang being Drogba for us at Wembley, and a little trivia for Aubameyang's stat is that Aubameyang joins the elite list. He's the only player to score more than 2 occasions and 2 goals at Wembley. He's joined Brian Robson, he's joined Eric Cantona, Ian Wright and Ian Rush. And Aubameyang's next player on that list. So it's elite level. We need to sign him up as soon as possible. And another trivia for you being a United fan, Arsenal have created a new record, 25 seasons consecutively in Europe. Doesn't matter Europa or Champions League. Last team to do it were United between 91 and 2014.
Yeah, I mean, I
All in
saw
all,
that.
think
I saw
it's a
that.
really positive end to the season for the Gunners.
I mean, it's commendable because when you take a look at what he's done with the given resources, I mean, I thought Martinelli was a big blow. I mean, to be honest, the way that he was kind of showing his potential just before the lockdown, that sensational goal against Chelsea. I mean, I think a lot of things has been made of Nketiah, Reece Nelson, all these guys. But I think if you guys get a couple of players, I mean, you talk about the likes of Thomas Partey, whoever you guys are linked with. John, you want to come in and talk to me about the transfers, because we talk about the current crop of Arsenal players, which are obviously in the fabric of the club, winning the FA Cup. But what about getting someone in and pushing and contending for the league perhaps next season? Because it's not too far away. You never know.
Yeah, so I mean, the first thing is that a lot of the stuff depends on what happens with Aubameyang's contract. Because if he goes, then that changes everything in terms of the transfer plans. But I don't know, Arteta sounds very positive about him staying, so let's just fingers crossed.
What's your gut feel? Do you think Oba will stay?
I think he'll stay. I think that if we didn't win the FA Cup and we didn't have Europe, I think he would have left.
Yeah.
But I think because we won the cup, I think that gives him a little bit of incentive to stay. Maybe that also makes him feel a little bit more attached to Arsenal, like lifting the trophy as a captain. I guess it does something for a player to be able to do that for your club.
Yeah, for sure.
In terms of transfers, I think that, assuming again Aubameyang stays, then I think we need to look at getting one good central defender, like maybe Koulibaly or Upamecano. Maybe that's a bit for a pipe dream. I don't know, with our budgets and all that.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm not particularly convinced by Ceballos. I think people have been liking him recently.
Yeah.
But I think that we could use a different central midfielder. I think in Lazio, there's that lad, Milinkovic-Savic, who's been showing a lot of promise. And he's a hot property in Europe. So maybe somebody like him would be good.
Yeah, I mean, Shambu, you echo those thoughts because Oba is so important to stay for you all, right?
I am like really hoping he stays. I mean, I would take it very personally if he leaves.
Yeah.
But I take it very personally when any of them leave. But yeah, I think
especially if he just moves to another Premier League club, which is not really.
Yeah, which has been in our history also.
At the end of this game, I think it was like Rio Ferdinand, who loves commenting on Arsenal players, obviously, who was like, I think he's going to leave, and his interview just says it right there. And I didn't see that, because the interview was like, so what are your plans for next season? And he just said, honestly, I just want to enjoy this with my teammates and lift the trophy, which is, I think, a valid answer.
Yeah.
And Rio was like, oh, he's leaving. I know he's leaving. But he's 31. He's won the FA Cup. I mean, it's not, now they're in Europe. It's not the Champions League. Where is he going to go where he's going to get the same kind of playing time?
Yeah.
And the same kind of fan love and team love? I don't know at this age. But yeah, it really depends on how they strengthen the squad, I think.
I'm not so sure about that because he would get into any team in the world, right?
Yeah, he would.
That was my next question. He would, but I don't know if he would play every week.
Yeah.
Like all the other teams have like younger and as good players.
Yeah, I think
Arsenal just need to pay him more.
That many Arsenal fans also kind of tell me that he hasn't been getting the proper service when he's played that out-and-out striker. Or perhaps if you had someone of a more experienced mold, you're talking about even a Willian potentially entering in Arsenal on that right flank, and just the delivery. I mean, I'm not criticizing, say, a Saka, because I think Saka has been phenomenal, especially on that right. I think his stats are so much better on that right, but then sometimes he's just made to be an auxiliary left back or a makeshift left winger, which is just not on. Let's just finish this Arsenal chat before we get on the quiz, guys. Vishnu, in terms of you guys going next season, what's the way forward? Because we talk about the current squad, we talk about what you guys can do in the transfer market, but have you been absolutely satisfied with Arteta's playing style? The fact that he's been absolutely tactical at times?
On that note, I think I've not been convinced with him when we play the mid-table sides and the lower sides, because there's no clear identity when we play those kind of sides, and we saw that against Watford and the games before that. I think we have a clear game plan when we play the bigger sides, And as fans, we've seen that Arsenal have a terrible record against the bigger sides, especially away from home. But I would like to see a more clear identity against those middle teams and the lower teams when we play them, right? But having said that, if you compare to Chelsea, who we played on Saturday, I want to talk a little bit about the profile of players we bring in, right? Because if you see Chelsea's squad, the turning point of the game was Azpilicueta's injury. He was the only leader on the pitch for Chelsea. After he went off, you look at the side, even though the average age of Chelsea is 26, they had no leaders on the pitch. So for me, whoever Arsenal sign at the back or even in midfield where we haven't got enough goals from the midfield, I think Xhaka, or I don't know the exact number, but we don't have enough goals from midfield. We need a midfielder scoring in double digits season in, season out. That's a big problem. But looking at the profile of player, I think we should look at leaders in the age of 26, 28, right? If we get those leaders at the back and build the spine from the goalkeeper is fine now with Martinez and Leno. We've got Saliba in. I think we need to buy cover for Mustafi, and Luis has got 1 year left. So maybe a centre half or two this summer and then maybe in Jan, right? But I would like to spine. So the spine is the goalkeeper, 2 centre halves, the midfielder and the pivot scoring midfielder, and then we've got Aubameyang already experienced at the top. So it's I think a question of 2-3 players for Arsenal, and how long Arteta takes to sort those 2-3 players is the question that only he can answer.
You can have a relatively good end to the season without having these players even in your squad, really. Like somebody like a Mesut Ozil and all that. Like maybe they've let down the team a bit with their attitude and not being up for selection. Because they're talented players and they're letting their teammates down.
I mean, it's a fair point that you make, and the fact that Arteta is a little bit of the Pep mold, the fact that he does expect to sort of work rate out of players, maybe those players aren't just fitting his style right now. Right, so let's move on to the quiz then, because it's a fun part of the show, and I'm really intrigued about all you guys to pick your brains, especially on the Arsenal front. So we'll start with Shambabi, of course, and the fact that it's a pick and mix. Basically, if you guys have seen my quiz, I've just do a random bunch of questions. So we'll do the audio one then. Do you want a player or a match?
Player.
Match sounds like it'd be ridiculously hard, unless, I don't know.
So here's your clip.
In the second half, because we have to be.
Can you hear? Is it audible?
And,
Yeah.
To admit, physically we are not ready. So we shows that second half against Chelsea. We shows that today. But when physically you're not there, you have to put your heart. And this team is in a moment now to change a lot of things.
So that's a player. That's a current Arsenal player.
A current Arsenal player. Is that David Luiz?
Yeah, spot on. Well done. Picking a Portuguese accent there. John, your question next. We're going to go give you a true flagged offside because you don't have a chance to pick. Here's your question. Nicolas Pepe has the most assists for Arsenal in the Premier League this season with 6. True or flagged offside?
I think it's true, but he's tied with Lacazette on 6, I think. Right?
So are you going to go with true or flagged offside?
I think it's true.
You're bang on, Johnny. And that is 1 point to City in the corner over there. Vishnu, moving on with your question here, and it's a good question this. Name any 3 Arsenal players to be sent off this season.
Too many. Too many.
So Nketiah got sent off. So David Luiz against Chelsea, of course. Nketiah got sent off against I think in Sheffield in the Cup. And Leicester, sorry. And Xhaka got sent off against Palace.
But that was last season, wasn't it? It was Oba.
I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, Oba got sent off for a revised challenge.
Another person I was looking for was Maitland Niles, who also got sent off. So.
Oh yeah.
Okay, moving on to Shambui's question again. This is a who am I?
Okay.
So I'm describing an Arsenal player. You just have to tell me who this player is. Okay? I joined Sevilla's youth team in 2004 at the age of 8, but I was released in 2009 because I had a chronic bronchitis problem. I have 9 appearances and 1 goal for my country.
One goal for my country.
1 goal from his country, 9 appearances. Sevilla youth team had a problem with chronic bronchitis.
Is this a current Arsenal player?
It's a current Arsenal player. He even started the other day.
So is it Ceballos?
Yeah, spot on.
I thought he was from Betis or something like that.
No, but he started off at Sevilla. Was that a straightforward one, or was that a little tricky?
That was a little bit tricky, I think.
It was fair enough.
So did you
I
said
mean,
current
but
Arsenal
Sevilla is like,
player.
if it's a youth team, then
Yeah,
the Spanish
Spain, yeah.
players we've got, it's
Yeah.
not very high now.
Okay, cool. John, here's your who am I. I made my competitive debut away to West Brom in the 3rd round of the League Cup in 2013, coming on as a 95th minute sub to replace Mikel Arteta. Okay, that's your first clue. The second clue is that I became vegan in 2017.
Yeah, I was going to say Bellerin, but Bellerin.
Bellerin? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that vegan documented so
The
well?
vegan one just gives it off. But I thought it was Bellerin anyway.
Okay, super. So John's on the board again. We're gonna give Vishnu an audio quiz right now, and this is identifying the game. All right, Vishnu,
Yeah.
playing it for you.
Huge credit to Pepe for a beautiful ball in. Mendy did not get close enough here. He's definitely onside. Just. It's a great finish from Aubameyang. His first in this season's FA Cup.
Against Man City.
Absolutely, against in the FA Cup, and that was a fine finish, by the way. I think that was really you talk about what is that? A sucker punch, really, in that game, and the way City was just bombarding you all, but then you guys held fort, not just against City, in that Liverpool second half. It was actually bad, the way that Arteta set up his team. All right, so you guys pretty much fared well in this quiz. I'm going to give you all a bonus sort of question, and it's a simple true and flagged offside. Whoever knows it can shout it, and then we can all celebrate. All right? In 11 appearances against the Big Six clubs, Aubameyang has scored 7 goals this season. True or flagged offside?
True.
And Rambo, you want to go true?
I guess I'm going with true.
Well, all of you guys are winners. Indeed. Because it was inevitable. I think so much has been made of Oba not striking against the Big Six. His poor record won't show up. I think this season he's justified that tag true and well.
70 goals since he joined us. 70 goals, more than any other player in the Premier League.
That is absolutely mad.
Yeah, and in very few matches also, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And just for the record, before all of you guys go, because I just want to ask y'all where you guys will finish next season, so then we can play this tape like 1 year from now and see if you guys have got it right. Shambo, we'll start with you.
Next season. Oh, I'm going to say 4th.
Okay. Vishnu?
Yeah, I think I'm going for 4th.
Okay.
Not
John,
convinced with Ole and Lampard as of yet. Still not convinced with both of them. So I'm going to give it to our manager.
Cheeky dig there. John, you?
As an Arsenal fan, I have a habit of every season going, this is going to be our year. I think a lot of us are used to doing that.
But I resonate with that, in some sort of way, because I say the same thing about RCB in the IPL. So I know exactly how you feel. But it's never our year. So you're going for
No, I don't know. I actually think it's insanely competitive in the Premier League, the most competitive I've ever seen it. I think unless we won't get the signings we need, I don't think. So I think we'll actually come closer to around 5th, unfortunately.
Okay, fine. We'll see. Wait and see what it actually has in store.
I think, the biggest, when was Wenger saying, 4th place is a trophy? And we used to get shat on so much for our manager saying that. And now just look at it. The way other teams celebrate for just getting into Europe and Wolves and all of them competing.
Yeah.
It's just.
But thanks so much, guys, for making it. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And hopefully in the next season we can see Arteta shine.
And lastly, 7 cup finals since 2002, won all 7 FA Cup finals.
All right, cheers, boys. Thank you so much.
Right, hope you enjoyed that because that was chatting all things Arsenal with a couple of knowledgeable Gooners over there, so to speak. Big shout out to Siddharth John, Shamvi Bhatt and Vishnu Daibat as well for making their presence felt, and of course, being part of Sportingly Social. That's all we have. Unfortunately, time's run out. But thanks for watching. It's been a pleasure as always. More to come from me. But until next time, see you.